What's going on, guys? Chris White here, and today I'm bringing you the best budget tier list for post Infinite Forbidden. This is the second time I'm recording this because my audio didn't capture the first time. Well, whatever, let's get right into the tier list. Alright, so for this tier list, we're going to start with Marincess, which I think is a pretty good deck all around. It's good for flooding the board quickly. I mean, very situational, but I think it definitely could see a little bit of play. But there is a disclaimer for this video. I want you guys to know, going into this budget, you guys aren't going to try to compete for UDSs or YCS. This is more of a local, friends, stuff kind of thing like that. So you got to keep that in mind when you're going into building these budget decks. But without further ado, yeah, so Marincess is pretty good, especially cheap wise. If you're just going for monsters and stuff like that, the most expensive Marincess monster is Blue Slug, coming in at $3, so it's really not that bad. And another disclaimer, we are going off of, you already have some of these hand traps, not all, but if your budget's like 50-ish, that's what we're going off of. Maybe all of these about 50, a little less than 50 bucks per. But if you have the extra money, I would definitely suggest getting a Nibiru, Ash, Effect Veiler, stuff like that for all your decks, just to have, because you're going to use that majority in all your decks. So Marincess, we are going to put could work. I definitely think it could see play, but it's very situational. Honestly, maybe I would stay away from it. If it gets new support, I definitely could see it getting more play. But for now, I would say just stay away from Marincess. Alright, the next deck we are talking about is Pure Fire King. We're not talking Snake Eyes Fire King, stuff like that. So with Pure Fire King, with the introduction of the structure decks, this deck has become more achievable. So with the structure decks, you just gotta make sure you buy 3 of them, and it gives you access to the majority of all of the cards you need here. The only thing you're not gonna have access to is majority of your extra deck, which you can just pick up on eBay, Macari, TCG Player, stuff like that, which is really good. But like I said before, we're not including Ash Blossoms, Ghost Spells, Effect Veilers, hand trap wise. We're talking purely monsters. How good this deck could be. We're assuming you already have majority of the hand traps. So if we're talking flooding the board, getting a lot of interruptions, good combos going, Pure Fire King is definitely up there on the tier list, especially if it keeps getting support, like with Snake Eyes and stuff like that, and especially with the new Fiendsmith stuff coming out, or already out. It's already out. This deck could increase even more. So with that being said, I would say it's definitely one of the best bang for your bucks deck, because of how often and fluent this deck can work. I would say I would definitely pick it up. All right, the next deck we are looking at is Salamangreat. Yes, it's very it's kind of, I know when you think budget, you don't think Salamangreat, but hear me out on this. It's really not that expensive. Now, this is more of the more expensive decks for this tier list, so you gotta come out there with an open mind. If you have a little bit more to spend, this deck could be even better. But the most expensive card is in your extra deck. It is gonna be Raging Phoenix, coming out at 20 bucks a piece right now. But I would say you could play this deck with 1 copy. I definitely run 1 copy. But I mean, it's kind of, this deck needs the 1. But with the introduction of Pyro Phoenix and stuff like that, this deck has gotten better. So I can definitely see this deck getting play, because Salamangreat's always been known for flooding the board and stuff like that rather quickly. So I think Salamangreat could potentially be up there. It's kind of just a situation of, if you want to spend the extra money, this deck could get so much better. But that can be said about all the decks, especially with Raging Phoenix being at 20. It's like, for budget, it's not the best. But if we're talking money wise and how fluent the deck can run, I'd say it could work. Now, if the prices start coming down, I would say it could definitely see play. But if we're talking pure budget, I gotta put it in could work. just off the fact of Raging Phoenix and a lot of the extra being a little bit pricey. So, yep. Now, Salamangreat, marincess, and Fire King are good. I haven't much playtest with them, but Blackwings and Red Dragon I have a lot of playtesting with, so we'll start with Blackwing. Really cheap. Ignore this number, it's not the right number. So, cards that you're going to want for this deck is rather easy. You want 3 Vada, 3 Sudri, 3 Shamal, 1 Zephyros, 1 Hermitan. Probably 2 Sharnar, not 1, because I feel like you can have more fluent, more efficiency if you have to, but it's kind of, I guess, on the player. Always 3 Simoon. You always want to play 2 and then 1 because it's bricky otherwise. Small World's really good for this deck if you're playing like a Kaiju, for example, or Bestials. Bestials are really good to pair with Blackwings, but Bestials are a bit pricey right now, so it's kind of, if we're talking pure budget, I would pick up some Kaijus maybe for this deck. The extra decks where it's really important. You're going to want to get a Raiders Knight and a Arc Rebellion Exige Dragon, just for the OTK combo and stuff like that. With the spatter being lowered in price significantly. I would say last time I checked it was like $50 and it's at $14. That's a crazy jump. If you have the extra money to splurge out, I would definitely pick up a copy of the spatter for this deck. It's not necessary, but it makes this deck so much better. I would definitely run Assault, Blackwing Dragon, Portal Storm, nothing. And if you could, I would look into getting a Void Ogre Dragon or a Darkened Dragon for this deck as well, just because those cards are fantastic to play with, especially for dragon-based decks and trying to build synchro-based decks. So, with that being said, I would say definitely could see play. I'm a bit biased because I'm a Blackwing player at heart, but if we're talking pure value and how efficient you can put up boards, I would say it could definitely see play. And the last deck we are going to be talking about for this video, ignore the rest of these are just the other archetypes that I could talk about another day. But I already know where I'm putting this, it doesn't matter. This is the best budget deck at this year, honestly. Resonators with the structure deck and all the viable plays that you can put with the resonators. I would say this is the #1 budget deck to pick up at the moment. Especially with Calamity still being at 3. It's crazy. Even at 1, it's crazy. Like I said, the Spore, the Spatter's a good pickup. If you can't, it's not a big deal. Here's the Void Ogre I was talking about. It's very good if you have no cards in hand. But very situational. The best part about the Resonators is they can use branded branded Regained very well, especially if you're playing the Bestial package. But like I said before, if you're going purely off a budget, I would avoid the Bestial package, even though it's broken. I would definitely look into getting an Uva, maybe a Catalyzer. Catalyzer just makes your plays more frequent, an extra level 4 on the board. I'd definitely look into a Stone Sweeper or 2. I mean, if you're going pure off a budget, I would say 2, but if you have the extra, I'd get an extra. Yeah, this is the best budget deck for putting bodies on board. Honestly, for competitive, I've played this deck in my locals multiple times. I've won 1 locals with it, and then I topped a few of them. This deck is amazing for it. So, honestly, it can have its own tier. The best budget deck of 2024 is Red Dragon, 100%. Now, with the Fiendsmith support coming out, this deck wouldn't be budget, but if you have the money, Fiendsmith and stuff, with this could potentially be really fucking good, honestly. It could go crazy. So, without further ado, if you guys enjoyed this video, let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.